The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Pollard streaks in. Touchdown. Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Nick Harris, John Machota, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's a Wednesday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas in the SWBC studios. It is 53-man cut down week, and we have plenty to talk about: trades, cut downs, and a whole lot more with Nick Harris, John Machota, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing fantastic.
Swell. Lots to talk about.
Hey, I want to start the show by congratulating Kyle Yeomans and Isaiah Stanback, Emmy Award winners in the building today.
High five. Very nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I'm proud of you boys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's such a blessing to be able to do what we do on a daily basis, and peer recognition is awesome. I really think it's a great thing, and the fact that Isaiah gets nominated and wins for best analyst, I mean, that's long overdue.
So let's get the behind the scenes. What were the reactions like?
Oh man,
did you expect to win? Did you
No,
already have a spot cleared off?
I didn't either. I really didn't.
I did not.
Yeah.
I honestly, I mean, this probably sounds bad, but I didn't know the severity or the importance of this entire Emmy thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't.
You just do it to do it.
I'm still relatively new in this industry.
He's all
right?
ball.
I mean, Kyle knows me. I'm locked in, man. Like, I just, so
Did you
I
have,
really
like, a
didn't.
speech, or?
I didn't have a speech.
No?
I literally
Well,
just
he got up and spoke on a mic.
I spoke on the mic. I thank I thank God, thank my wife, I thank my teammates, everybody. I consider here my teammates, and I thank my coach, and that was it. And I was up out of there. Dropped the mic. But I did not expect. I really didn't expect it. I was going up against Mark McLemore. And I used to watch him. I was a baseball dude, right?
Yeah.
So he's playing for the Mariners. I used to go down to the Kingdom, walk down there, and watch him play. And we're cool. We know each other, but like to go against him now, that's kind of full circle. But I was blessed and honored, man. This guy, on the other hand, I fully expected him to win.
Kyle came there with like a whole sheet of paper. I didn't expect this, guys. First off, let me thank you.
He actually beamed his speech to the teleprompter up there.
I went all the way through that day, and first off, credit to my wife. She was like, "You know what? You're going and you're wearing a tux. Like you have a chance to win your first Emmy." I was like, "Oh, let me just wear like a sport coat. Let me just walk in." Like I didn't really want to really dress up. She was like, "No. If you have a chance to win your first Emmy, you are going to wear a tux." And I was like, "Okay, fine. Yes, ma'am." And then we got there and just getting to see everybody there. I mean, there's mentors that I've watched on TV for so long and that I've learned from in my 4 years here and just really looked up to, and to see them there. And the first person to hug me when I got off stage was Newey Scruggs, who's of course on the Players Lounge. And he's been such a blessing for me in the business and in this whole process. And so it was really cool. It was really cool. I didn't have a speech prepared either. And they told us 20 seconds is all you got. So it was like, I mean, it was
they were
quick.
serious about
and
that.
they would cut you off with the next video if you went over, like for real. So I went up there and I was like, "Yep, wife, coach, God, let me get out of here." Like teammates for sure. And it was really fun. So great day.
Chris Beam.
Yeah,
Beamer, man.
Beam for sure. Honestly, that's the MVP.
No, that's
no
why.
chance.
That's why I didn't even think about trying to.
You're involved with the teammates.
There was
Beam.
no way to go down the line
No.
in the amount of people that I would have to thank individually. So
many.
it was all encompassing in terms of just
Bill Belichick, Tom Brady.
Shoot, the team. I mean, the team here is ridiculous. And there's a lot of amazing talent that comes through these doors. Obviously, I mean, skills all across the board. And one thing you gotta always remind yourself of is how blessed you are to be in this building and on this platform, because I mean, this is the greatest brand in sports. And I think a lot of times, you're going through life and frustrations happen and all that jazz, and you really have to remind yourself, where the heck are you at every day? And it's pretty awesome. And then to be recognized, as especially, at least from me, from my perspective, as just a young spring chicken just trying to grind it out, it was pretty dope.
It was also cool too that when we were just walking in here,
Yeah.
Stephen Jones was walking by in the hallway. And I was like, hey, congratulations, Isaiah, whatever. Like,
I'm like, does he know?
Yeah.
Oh, they know. They know. The cool thing for me was Isaiah and I really kind of started this journey together. I mean, we were on Talkin Cowboys really together from when we first got on the show. I think I did 4 shows without you before you hopped on.
It was a COVID edition.
Yeah,
year was this?
2020.
Okay.
And then we hopped on Talkin Cowboys, of course. That's kind of stayed the same since. But then we got on pregame later in 2020 when the football season actually began, and we started that TV journey together. And both of our submissions had a lot of pregame in it, a lot of pregame and postgame stuff in it. So the fact that like we kind of came in together and started this journey in 2020 to like win something where we kind of play off of each other on it was really, really cool. So fun times. But enough about us. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. That's what we're here for. Where do you guys want to start? You want to start with the 53-man cutdowns? You're wearing your Hunter Lipke North Dakota State green today, Harris.
I sure am.
see what
You
you
know,
did
I started the Hunter Lipke fan club the day he got signed, and the plane reached new heights yesterday. But no, truthfully,
30,000 or 36,000?
36,000 feet.
43,000 feet?
43,000 feet.
I
Bang!
see what you
I'll
did
give you
there.
there.
Bars.
I'll give you that. But honestly, I was shocked he made the roster. I will say that. I thought they were going to take 4 tight ends and 3 running backs, and if you had told me it's going to come down to Sean McCune or Hunter Lipke, I would have been like, oh, okay, McCune.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised. And you know, the more I've been thinking about it, it makes sense, I guess, if you want somebody that still has a ton of upside, that can bring more to the offense from a skill perspective, then I understand keeping Lipke. But also, I think that's going to show a lot of confidence in Schoonmaker and the fact that he can block for the running game this year. So they must feel pretty good about where he's at with his plantar fasciitis, if it is, overcome, and they feel pretty good about where he is skill set wise too. So there was a lot of fascinating things that I think went into that decision. I think that's one of the more interesting ones, my Hunter Lipke fandom aside.
In addition to 32 roster cuts yesterday, Cowboys put 4 players on the reserve injured list. David Durden, DeMarvion Overshown, John Stevens, Josh Ball. Ball was probably the one that's kind of a bit surprising, but we talked about it on Monday. He was expected to miss a significant amount of time. Let's go through just like a clump of these at a time. We'll start with Jabril Cox. I think that's a pretty massive one. I mean, day 3 pick. Somebody that had high hopes for being in this linebacker core. And Isaiah, I know whenever he was selected, I was very high on him. You really liked what he brought to the table, and then the injuries kind of happened, and it derailed a lot of that production and a lot of that growth early on.
Yeah, and I hated being the guy that, I'm a straight shooter, but I know you've heard me many times say that knee's just not
the same.
He's not what he was, unfortunately. And that sucks because I'm somebody who sustained a lot of injuries, but the reality is once he had that injury, his greatest asset was then tarnished. I mean, he wasn't as agile as he was. He wasn't as fast as he once was. His ability to change directions and sink his weight and get out and power in, power out, it just wasn't there. And I hate that for him. Because there's nothing. If he could change it, he would have changed it. But injuries happen. But the reason why they got him, he was unable to do those same things that the reason why they attained him in the first place.
My biggest surprise with that is just because of how thin they were at linebacker. I was like, even though he hasn't shown that, who else do they have? Now, obviously they can use the safeties and that, but there's a part of me that's like, man, it just seems thin at that position not to have Jabril Cox there. So that would be, that would probably be at the top of my list of in terms of, surprises would be that. And then, as you mentioned, Lipke and not going with Sean McCune, just because, even when Mike McCarthy talked about yesterday, like saying when he was asked about McCune, he was like, yeah, those are the tough ones when you have to sit there and tell a player, like, yeah, you did everything we asked you to do, but I got to let you go. That's because there's probably a ton of guys you're letting go that you're just like, yeah, but, we needed you to do this and this, and you couldn't do it. But it sounds like with McCune, it was just a numbers thing there. So I would think that he has to be pretty high on their list of guys that they're hoping they can get back.
And to that point, when we sat down at training camp, I think it was our first Talkin Cowboys in Oxnard, and I kind of brought up how Sean McCune was he was tofu.
Yeah.
Right? He was a guy who didn't have a lot of flavor to him. He, you can make it work.
You like tofu?
I like tofu. But I season
It's
mine
healthy.
up. I season mine
It's
up.
healthy.
You know what I'm saying?
Season it a little bit.
Season it a little bit. So McCune just didn't have a lot to him, but he was consistent. And Leonard Wells has backed that up as well. He's like, man, you know what you're going to get out of him. I think that decision in regards to Lipke over McCune came down to the contributions that would be there on special teams. And I don't think Sean McCune was as versatile on special teams as Hunter Lipke can be. And that's ultimately what I believe it came down to. Reason being, what would you use Sean McCune for on special teams, aside from field goal protection?
Oof. Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because
You know
then
what I
you're
mean?
asking him to run down.
He's not running downfield and covering kicks, right? He can't be your personal protector, right? He can't, you know what I mean? So he's very, very limited in that regard. Now, would he be willing? I'm sure. Could he do it? I'm sure. But there's levels to everything. And I think when you take somebody who was 6'1", 248, 250, whatever he is, okay, who can that frame
barrel downfield.
That frame gives you a lot to work with, okay? He could still be a wing on a field goal block if you really needed to, field goal protection if you needed to, but he's not going to be there. So field goal block, he's not going to be your guy. But on all the other things, covering kicks, punt and kickoff return, he's going to be one of the front line guys or even the back line guy, most likely, that can sit back there and be the quote unquote new version of a wedge. You know, so he can be versatile in those offerings. So he can be one of your core special teamers versus McCune would not be a core special teamer. And that's the aspect that people are forgetting. Bones Fossil has to have. He has to have 6 solid guys that he can rely on in every specialist.
That was going to be my next question is, do you think Bones Fossil ultimately made this decision?
Yes.
You think they went to Bones and said, okay, we've got a couple guys here. Here's a list of guys. Who do you want out of this list of guys? Who is going to be most productive for you in this situation? Because we feel good at tight end. We've got Ferguson, Schoonmaker, and Hendershot as offensive weapons. Sure, we would like to rotate a guy in there here and there because they run 2 tight end sets so often with a guy like Sean McCune, but Hunter Lipke can do a similar thing.
It really
kind
comes
of
down to
hybrid it.
If you're going to play, is he going to play 20 snaps on offense?
No,
Is he going to play 20 snaps on special teams?
probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what it ends up coming down to.
Speaking of special teams, real quick, were you guys surprised at what happened with Kelvin Joseph? I know when we had talked about cutting down the roster, possibly not having him on, were you surprised that they were able to get something in return?
I want to wait until the second segment for that because I want to spend the whole segment on it because
I just feel like it's kind of a notable move that
it's a very notable move.
You know, that it's easy to overlook it because I think a lot of people were like, it's not like they traded someone that you're like, man, I thought for sure that guy was going to be on the 53. And so we had talked about it, so that's the only reason why I mentioned it.
Yeah, I do want to talk about it significantly because, I mean, whenever you trade for a former first rounder for the second time this week, it's kind of something to talk about. Then along the lines, kind of going back down the list, I mean, Jabril Cox was a surprise. Sean McCune was a surprise. Out of the names that we listed in our show on Monday, we only got 4 guys wrong. It was those 2. The third one was Brock Hoffman. We kept Brock Hoffman, even though we had kind of a bubble.
I don't think we had a 6th receiver.
And then we did not have a 6th receiver.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of. We didn't have Brooks.
I think we cut Brooks too. That was the problem. So pretty close on what we thought was going to happen. Did you?
But it's not. I mean, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's not fully settled yet, right?
For real. Yeah.
So.
Like there will be a backup center on this roster that is not in this building right now.
Right.
Goodwin, right? I mean, Goodwin.
That, again, I know we'll talk about it, but especially losing Kelvin Joseph, I don't see how they need C.J. Goodwin. I mean, those are their 2 top gunners last year were Goodwin and Joseph. So
and Trent Sig.
And they kept.
Oh yeah, Trent Sig too. They're going to bring him back.
They kept every single one of their draft picks too. By the way. Did you notice that as well? Because they kept Miles Brooks, not Miles Brooks. Miles Brooks got cut, unfortunately. Eric Scott Jr., and they brought back Jalen Brooks. I mean, multiple guys that were late in that draft class. Viliami Fehoko, we kind of knew he was going to be around. But
and 3 undrafted guys.
Again, the rookie class carries a lot of weight in this building.
If I told you going into camp they keep 3 undrafted guys, don't you think that either Wheat or Land would be one of those guys?
Yes. I think I would
have
thought about both of those
for one of them on the 53.
For
Land, that's right, yeah.
So interestingly enough, in talking with some of the front office, they had a higher grade on Wheat than they did on Land, but they had a 5th round grade on Wheat.
Okay.
I mean, they were very high on Tyrus Wheat. They really liked him.
I'd like to know what their grade was on Bass.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that one. I can ask.
At The Athletic, we lean heavily on Dane Brugler, and he definitely had a draftable grade.
I had a 5th round grade on Bass.
That might have been what Dane had too.
Yeah.
He definitely was
really
a draftable grade. It was one of those when the draft was over, Like in Dane's draft guide, he was one of the highest guys that were still out there.
I'll look into it. I'll
Yeah.
see if I can talk to somebody across the street because I think having Wheat not on this roster kind of shocks me because they were really high on him out of school. And maybe they bring him back. I mean, he could be one of those guys that gets lost in the cracks and he goes back to the practice squad and you feel pretty good about him. But if they felt that good about him and he just ended up slipping through the cracks and got to the undrafted free agent class, they signed him. Is there another one of the 31 teams that was looking at him as an undrafted free agent possibility and then didn't sign him back in April?
Yeah. I don't know. My mind automatically goes to some of the strategy that goes into the veterans that can't be picked up on waivers and, that don't have to try to clear waivers. Some of these younger guys that we thought we sat here and cut on Monday, but wanted on the practice squad. Yep. Some of those guys are retained for now, but may not be by the end of the week. And then, hopefully they slip through the cracks because everybody's not trying to grab all their practice squad players, at that point in time. And you have a greater probability of a Jalen Brooks or somebody like that being released and being able to get them back because nobody wants to let go of their guys they already signed.
Sneak them under the radar.
Sneak them under. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that still could take place by, Friday, I would assume. So I don't know.
I will say every time I see Isaiah Land's name on Twitter, I just want to report the tweet and be like, get his name off the timeline. You can't tweet about him till noon. Get him out of here.
All right, everybody. In Talking Cowboys Nation, no more tweeting about Isaiah Land. We got to keep him quiet.
For at least the next 43 minutes. Let's just keep it quiet.
So that's when the deadline is 43 minutes from now. That's when, what is that deadline exactly?
That'll be the claim waivers deadline. So anybody that is going through the waiver process right now will have to be claimed by 11 a.m. Central Time, and we'll see. I think there's going to be at least 2 guys that the Cowboys will go after for sure that were not on the roster beforehand.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Do you, if that's the case, and I agree, and you see anything, say something, okay?
For sure.
Everybody that's on Twitter, see something, say something, and we could just say reports are,
yes.
and we can kind of keep it very generic. But yeah, plenty still moving. The back and forth, the strategy that's at hand with building this 53-man roster continues to ebb and flow here this week and then in the middle of the week. But when we come back here on Talking Cowboys, we alluded to it. The Cowboys trade for a former first-rounder for the second time this week.
I can't wait to hear you pronounce the name.
Noah Igbenogony.
Okay, you've worked on it.
I've got you. I got my 2020 draft class back here.
Okay.
All right. When we come back with more on Talking Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. By the way, send us a text, 817-290-3298. Shoot your text messages this direction. Ask us about the roster. Ask us about the roster building. Any question is good, especially if it comes to where Isaiah got his tux the other day for the Emmy nomination and the Emmy Award show, because I want to know as well. So
always got something in the chamber, Kyle.
Yeah, got something ready to go.
As in a rental, or this is a purchase?
Rental? What?
Okay.
I scour the universe for suits in Texas, man.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually.
I just don't have enough important things to go to own a tux. I'd like to have a few suits, but I just don't feel like I do enough that I could utilize the tux enough.
I actually went shopping yesterday. Just, there's a couple of spots I go to. Listen, for everybody that needs suits or tuxes.
Are you about to give a plug?
I'm not going to give a plug. I'm not getting paid by nobody. No, but there are a couple of spots that you go to right now. If you want to pay for your boy, I'll give you a shout out. This is the time of year for those that need suits. Okay. This is when you go and you look for suit deals because they're transitioning seasons. They're going from summer to fall, and they have to get rid of stuff. So you go during this time, you go to your local suit stores, whatever those are, okay? And that's when you go straight to the deal. Like, how can I help you today? Where are your cells? And you go there and you get everything for the low, Kyle.
For the low.
For the low.
I'm glad you're back here on Talking Fashion.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. The low.
The low. The only thing,
I didn't get an invite to go shopping.
Listen, the only thing I did it right for our picture. Where the heck were you at, by the way?
I was moving. I had to pack the boxes.
Get a new house.
Yeah, sorry guys. Apologies. But yeah, so there you go. There's Isaiah, looking fresh as always.
Discount, baby.
I dare you to wear a suit on Friday to the show.
Nope, not doing it. I'll wear one tomorrow, but not.
You'll wear one tomorrow?
Yeah.
Fine. All right. Noah Igbenogany is now a piece of the Dallas Cowboys secondary. Cowboys trade former second-round pick Kelvin Joseph, second-round pick in 2021, to the Miami Dolphins, just a straight-up cornerback trade. And really it was a similar situation, but just one more year down the line and one more round up for Igbenogany as opposed to Kelvin Joseph, because he was drafted in 2020. He was a first-round pick and then turns around and is in Miami in a crowded secondary, and they were looking at ways to either cut him, release him, or trade him. And Dallas said, well, let's see if a change of scenery can help both of these teams out. But I really like the deal overall because you don't necessarily lose anything except for one of those 53 roster spots. That's the only thing I think you might lose in this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I think instead, if they were wanting to cut Kelvin Joseph, instead of cutting him, you get a guy for him, and a guy who was a former first-round pick, as you said, probably a guy that probably should have been in the second round coming out of that 2020 draft. But nevertheless, he got late first. Noah Igbenogany, he's still 23. He's younger than Kelvin somehow. I like it because, like you said, there's nothing to lose. If it doesn't work out, then okay, then you lost the roster spot that you were going to give up anyway. If it does work out, then everyone looks smart and everyone's happy. I think for Igbenogany, he's more of a boundary guy. Kelvin was more of an inside guy. It's going to work out great for Kelvin in Miami because they need an inside guy to kind of fill in and play some time there. He's going to get a ton of reps this year. He will be playing on Christmas Eve if he's healthy, knock on wood. And then Noah Igbenogany, he will be able to sit behind Stephon Gilmore and Trayvon Diggs, which, just depending on how long Stephon Gilmore is here, who knows by the time that he's, getting to his father time, Noah Igbenogany's ready to step in. So I don't hate the move. And, if you're thinking optimistically, then it works out. But if you're thinking pessimistically, which is honestly probably the more realistic option at times, then probably you see Noah Igbenogany not working out down the line just because of what he's not been able to do on the field as a first-round pick for Miami. But I think if you're thinking optimistically, then this is a good trade here.
Yeah, it seems like both teams are trying to maybe get somebody that can jumpstart their career with just a change of scenery. Hey, this isn't working out here. This isn't working out here. Let's try and make a move, and maybe it'll work out for at least one of the two. I just keep going back to that 2020 draft because there was just such an emphasis on getting a corner.
Yeah.
And I remember just all those mocks leading up to that draft. You got a top 10 pick. You got to be able to get Surtain or J.C. Horn out of that, and then they both go boom boom right there, and then you just have to, I guess, deal with taking Micah Parsons and just see make the best of it. But it just felt like after that, it was like they were trying to really get a corner, no matter how whoever it was going to be with that second round pick, hoping that you get the same return on investment they did when they got Trayvon Diggs, and that just never worked out. So I think for them to get something, even if this doesn't work out, it's better than just outright releasing him.
Yeah, and some of the guys that corner that went after Kelvin Joseph, there was only one other corner taken in the second round.
I'm a huge Florida State football fan. But I know his size doesn't fit what they were looking for.
The size wasn't what they wanted, but I wanted him so bad, and it was Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State. And he was the only other second-round corner that year. After that, Paulson Adebo, corner from Stanford, went in the third round. A little bit further down, there was a run of corners later after Nashawn Wright, actually. It was then Nashawn Wright. Followed by Afitu Melifonwu from Syracuse and Brandon Stevens from SMU.
You're good at this pronunciation thing.
Thanks, man. I do a lot of research.
I never thought of Calvin Joseph as being like a first-round quality player. Like you know how some people talked.
Igbenogony, go for it.
Say it.
But going in the draft, people talked a little bit about he had like first-round. I just never saw that.
I didn't either. And honestly, let me go to my grade. I keep all my grades for all these guys. I had Kelvin Joseph as the 17th ranked corner in that class.
So that's
corner.
Third, mid-third, late third?
That's like late fourth.
Late fourth, okay.
Yeah, like 119
I figured it was late third
was his overall grade.
Class, but
yeah, I had him ranked 119. The one thing I liked about him was his speed. He ran a 4.34 with a 1.44 split. So
my whole thing about when it comes to like the pre-draft stuff is you just don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Like, you can watch a player in that, but you don't know what it could be off the field, other stuff like that. And clearly the teams have that advantage to get the chance to meet with guys and things like that. I remember multiple people went from the Cowboys organization, to Kentucky to scout him. I want to say Dan Quinn went. Maybe Dan went with Will.
I think he did.
Because they got Bohanna and Calvin out of that.
Yep, yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think
that was a tough year to draft too, though, because that was coming off the COVID year.
There was no combine.
No combine, right?
No combine.
One of our writers at The Athletic wrote about that with the Lance thing. That maybe it was a bad time for one of our Niners writers wrote about that. Like, this might have been a bad time to gamble on a quarterback, to trade 3 first-round picks just because there was so much uncertainty going into that draft class.
Yeah.
And he had such limited experience too. It's fascinating to me.
What do you guys think about Igbenogany and kind of the rotation there now? Because Nashawn Wright is still on this team. You have on the back end Izzy Mukwamu still on this team. You have some boundary guys. I know Mukwamu plays both, but do you feel like he can find a way into the rotation as a guy like this, or are they going to try and fit him into that rotation with now that Kelvin's gone? Are they going to force some of the Igbenogany opportunities? Maybe.
I don't know. I think. I don't know. I think some of these guys, again, it just goes to the specialists, because you have your solid 3 DBs for this team, and then you have a horde of safeties. So you're on the field with 6 DBs most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to break that rotation. Mm-hmm. It just really is, because those guys aren't really rotating out. They're not coming off the field. They're almost like old linemen. They just don't really come out, at least at the quarterback position. So I think, obviously depending on the health of Jay Lou, that's obviously going to play a part into some of these guys' opportunities as well, how long it takes for him to really touch the field. But I think aside from their 4th guy up, if you have to talk about who's the 4th guy to touch the field at the cornerback position, I think I have to go with probably Nashawn until Jay Lou gets healthy.
Yeah. I think he would play by necessity, Igbenogany.
Yeah.
And hopefully that necessity is not experienced.
Yeah.
Because that would take a couple of guys getting injured, I think. I think that would take one of either Trayvon or Stephon and then Nashawn Wright. So
I think I can say, again, I know it keeps saying special teams, like Bones also, I think, had his hand on a lot of these decisions.
Yeah.
I really believe that, because he lost, like I mentioned it before, he lost 2 core special teamers. Luke Gifford last year, Noah Brown last year, and then Kelvin Joseph this year. Those are 3 of his 6 core special teamers.
And he's probably hoping for something out of DeMarvion Overshown too.
Absolutely. I know he does. I talked to him about it a couple weeks ago. He was heartbroken.
He had taken that Gifford role for sure.
Yeah.
So who takes those roles in your opinion? We got Jalen Brooks that probably takes the Noah Brown role. Wanye, yeah.
Yep. Wanye's that guy. And Bell. Wanye, Bell, both of those guys.
Both of them are here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they still went heavy in safety and corner. Like, secondary was heavy, kind of like what we expected. I mean, we took 12 guys between the two, and they ended up with 13, right? I mean,
because
they
the
ended up with all
versatility,
the
man.
guys.
The versatility. With that size, you could do a lot
Yeah.
You could do a lot. I mean, that's why all the injuries I sustained, I was able to keep jobs just because of the versatility. If you have good size, you got speed, and you are willing to go out there and put your head in there and get some contact, you're going to have plenty of opportunities.
So are we seeing the NFL, you know, how there's obviously the devaluing of the the running back position? Like how is it going to start affecting linebacker like this? Because J. Ron Kurtz was talking in the locker room today about how, the way that everyone's spreading you out nowadays in the NFL, you're getting more and more safeties in there. Is it going to start getting to a point where teams just really have 2 or 3 traditional linebackers and then have a bunch of DB type guys like that?
It's all predicated on the type of offenses that you're seeing now.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, it was run heavy.
Yeah.
So you needed big boys.
You needed big linebackers.
Right? Now, the league's pass heavy. So you don't need as many big guys because you have to be able to cover,
Kyle
3 wide
Pitts
receivers.
and tight end. Yeah.
Right? So the game's changed.
Now you can say those are directly connected, honestly, because the devaluation of the running back position leads to the devaluation of the linebacker position. It also goes back to the big nickel. You think about the way that teams run the big nickel now, like it's just a normal base defense, as opposed to 10, 15 years ago. Teams didn't run the big nickel, but at all, unless it was a specific scheme, and now it's almost a normal thing in the NFL because of the way the tight ends are utilized and the versatility of the passing game. And honestly, I think it also has to do a lot with the RPO too, and the way that the run pass option has come into play. Because if you talk about the RPO, linebackers need to read for 1 or 2 plays, and then the rest of it, it's the secondary. That's who's really doing a lot of the reading and a lot of the covering.
It was interesting today, when Mike McCarthy was out there with Trey Lance. They were working on a little bit of that.
RPO.
About how they like to hold the ball and if in their style, and then pull it back and things like that. It was interesting.
That is super interesting. One last thing on Noah Igbenogany. Have y'all ever just gone back and looked at the 2020 draft class of corners and how odd this was? I'm just going to go down the list. These are the guys that I had them ranked. This isn't the way that they went, but you'll recognize some of the guys. Jeff Okudah, already traded and did not work. Top 10 pick.
I thought he was going to be.
I thought he was a dude. I had him as a
number by now.
number 5 overall player. C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
Oof. Jeff Gladney, the late Jeff Gladney. Christian Fulton, he's been okay. He's been okay in the league. A.J. Terrell has been great.
Yeah.
Trayvon Diggs has been great. Then it goes Damon Arnett, oof. Jalen Johnson, oof. Cameron Dantzler, and Noah Igbenogany.
Goodness.
So just a roller coaster of corners at this point in that 2020 draft class that just didn't work out. That was also the same draft class that the Cowboys took Reggie Robinson II in the 4th round. So just
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's up to.
I don't know.
Hey, did anybody else care? I know I did about Will Greer
getting signed.
Yeah, but he chose not to come back here, right? Isn't that a practice squad? You get to choose where you go. That's not a pickup. You get your agent calls you.
I think he got claimed. So I don't know if he has a say in that. I could be wrong.
Practice squad?
I could be wrong.
If
that's
he gets
true.
claimed,
That's true. That it isn't on their 53.
Yeah,
so
practice squad. You get to choose.
Yeah.
Patrick Walker told me earlier in the week that if you're claimed off waivers, you can either go there or stay where you're at. Now, don't come at me. Come at No C.
But he signed to Cincinnati's
but
practice
your point,
squad.
Right. So he chose
to go to Cincinnati.
But that makes sense. Why be a QB4 here?
I understood, but I'm saying, but after Coach McCarthy's comments about how he would love to have Will Greer back.
Yeah, but
I know, I get it. I just thought that was interesting because Will Greer probably had a chance to come back here, and he was like, "Yeah, no, appreciate it, Coach, but no, I'm good. I'm going over here."
Yeah.
I'm looking at Cincy's depth chart.
I was trying to do the same.
He'll be 3. I can't think who their backup is, but he won't be. I don't think
I want to
he's
say it's
be
one of those career backups, one of the long. Yeah, Jake Browning. So
you dub.
Yeah,
let's go.
I was about to say that. I mean, that's the only.
Like I said, career backup. That's all he was primed to
Browning
do after
is not. He does not fit the mold of a.
That's the second best Washington quarterback I know. Yeah, Jake Locker was.
I was about to say Eaton was really good.
Damn.
I'm calling Warren Moon right now.
Damn.
All right, let's take our second break.
That, Jake? I'm calling.
Send us a text. We're going to answer some questions when we come back on the Cowboys podcast. Text line 817-290-3298. Shoot us a text message when we come back on Talkin' Cowboys.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talkin Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. John Machota, Nick Harris, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Couple text line questions popping in, or not even just a question on this one. 817-290-3298 or 98 is the text line. Sorry, I was reading ahead.
Elon Musk is taking over Kyle's brain.
817-290-3298 is the Cowboys text line. The 401 says, congrats, Isaiah and Kyle. Beam is the MVP. He said, just have a comment for you guys. Mike McCarthy loves the fullback. No way Hunter Lipke wasn't making this team. That's George from Rhode Island. Fan since 1981.
My argument would be then, why would you play a guy that much in that last preseason game? Because there's that last preseason game is tricky because there's some times where you're playing a guy a lot because you want him to show you something, but then there's other guys like hiding. I'll give you a good example, like Jalen Brooks. You don't think he needed to play? Like I don't know. Like I felt like they, now looking back on it, knowing what we know, they're probably like, yeah, we've seen enough there, but. I just don't think they let Lipke play that much if it was like, oh, no, we already know that you're on the roster. Yeah. I think that the way he played in that game.
Worked his spot in. I completely agree with you because I think.
More so than anybody else in that game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He said it. McCarthy said that.
I think you also play the factor of when he had the start to camp, there was a lot of, there were expectations. I really liked Hunter Lipke too, but the expectation was that he was going to be a versatile, athletic blocker / well-rounded receiver and yada, yada, yada. And he could do a whole lot of different things. And then he just never really could show the balance or the vision or whatever it ended up being in these practices to show, hey, he's worth taking one of those 53 roster spots. And then the way he played with Will Grier in that final preseason game was finally an aha, like, oh, that's what we were looking for. Like, that's the moment we were looking for. You and I were sitting in the booth, and we were kind of joking with each other back and forth, like, he's going to mess around and make this team. But I don't know if we really believed that until like the second half, whenever it was like, okay, I think he actually is going to play in and make his way onto the team.
When he had those back-to-back receptions that eventually led into the touchdown, that's when I was like, okay, he's at least cemented a practice squad spot.
Sure.
But it still surprised me that he made the 53. Same. It still surprises me. But having a fullback like John Kuhn, when Mike McCarthy had that during his days at Green Bay, and that just wants you that wants you fiending for the next one. He wants it back.
Got to find a way.
Yeah.
Well, and also
thing back.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, parting ways with Ezekiel Elliott took away one of your bigger backs like that you could use in goal line situations, short yardage stuff like that. So I know we had talked about before, like back when we were out in Oxnard, about the whole idea of like, if they don't have one of these bigger backs, are they going to get some? Maybe they think that from what they've seen from him, he can fill a little bit of that role.
I'll tell you this: if Hunter Lipke scores a touchdown this year, I'm going to be ruthless the next day on the show. I am going to be unbearable.
Can you get a jersey? Just like a North Dakota Jace? We'll make it work.
Now that he made the 53, it's in the works.
It's already done. Oh, no.
I just love fullbacks. I'm a big fullback
You
guy.
are a fullback stan.
Who's your favorite fullback?
I really like Juszczyk. And that's probably recency bias, but I love Juszczyk. I really do.
Man, I grew up around the whole Daryl Moose Johnston, Tom Rathman.
Yeah.
Like, it was just such a big part of whenever, Cowboys, Niners, and that. I feel bad for you, though, because I think the game's going away from that.
It is. That's why I love them so much. To be able to find a niche in this league at a position like that, it's tough.
It's a throwback.
It's tough.
Throwback. All right, Anthony from Seattle, up there in the Pacific Northwest. He says, "What decisions do you think the team will make once Ronald Jones is off suspension, especially if the running backs currently perform well?" Isaiah, what do you think about the running back position? Because Ronald Jones is still sticking around, at least at the moment.
Quick question: is he counting towards the 53?
I think he has to.
He is, right? That's so interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I really don't. I don't see a role currently for him. I also don't see them carrying all these running backs. So something's going to happen over the next few days, I feel. I'll just stand by and wait for that.
In the position group?
In that position group. You're not keeping all those guys.
Yeah, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
They kept 4 of the 5. The only one that they cut was Malik Davis.
Yeah,
that was it.
That's a lot.
Yeah. You think?
I mean, right now you got TP, Jones, Rico, Deuce, Lipke.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I didn't even count Lipke. In
you're not keeping 5 guys in that room. You're just not.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, what about this one? This is from Big Time Cowboy Fan. That's his name. From Longview, East Texas. Your roots. Have you guys heard of any offensive linemen that they may sign? You talked about a couple names. Maybe not specific names.
18 minutes.
But yeah, we got 18 minutes to this deadline. Do you think the offensive line is a spot where they will add talent? They will go and add somebody up front. Just on your inkling.
Just are you asking for a name or asking for
just
a position?
The position group in general.
It's center for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, 1,000% center.
Yeah, go and get a backup center.
Yeah.
Do you have any names?
I don't.
Okay.
I do not.
Make sure. John?
But I do feel for the scouts who do know the names because they were up all night this past night. I do feel for those guys.
No doubt.
I got some sleep, personally.
Travis Frederick, I don't have anybody. Sorry.
Now, that would be nice. Okay, here's a good one. How about this? This is Dano says, he's from the 203, says, very surprised to see that Neville Gallimore stuck around. Is he missing something? He said, am I miss something?
He had a really good camp. I feel like. I mean, they needed another tackle that's, I mean, Mozzie and Hankins fit together, and there really wasn't anybody else behind Osa, so he's your next guy up. And also, man, like we've talked many a times about how hard it is to find backup, like offensive linemen. Nobody's letting good defensive tackles go.
No.
Like, you're not going to find somebody out there on the, I mean, to be honest with you, I was pretty surprised that they were able to get Hankins last year. I mean, for what they gave up for him and then the impact that he had, I mean, I think that's been a pretty good value as long as he can stay healthy. So defensive tackle is just a tough spot. So
Gallimore's agile. He's a big boy,
especially when he's healthy. He's full. He's full 100%.
Best of both worlds. I mean, you got Osa who's get in there. He's a penetrator. Create some disruption in the backfield. But Gallimore can clog things up, and he can get vertical, and he can run some stuff down. So
he's got really good aerodynamics.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was going to come down to Gallimore and Bohanna, and Gallimore had a really good camp.
He did.
For if you were looking at that battle, Gallimore won that for sure.
Yep.
So it doesn't surprise me that he made it by any means.
Jason from Pennsylvania says, can players be added to the practice squad throughout the year if injuries add up? Yes, you can. You can add and drop from the practice squad as the year goes along. So that's a good question. But yeah, it's 16 men, and then you can elevate 2, right, per week, but you can only do that for each player 3 times. So you get 3 elevations from the pack.
At least that's how it was last year, unless there's been a rule change.
They switched it. I don't think they have. I think that a lot of that was switched during the COVID year, and then they kept it, and it's been that way ever since. So, yes, Jason, you can add and subtract. This is from the 469. It says Rojo doesn't count toward the 53-man roster. He's on the suspended list. But I don't.
He definitely doesn't count for the 53. They have already have 53 guys on the roster.
And Rojo isn't one of those.
No.
So you can put somebody on the suspended. I haven't dealt with this in a long time.
It has to be just because he was suspended before. But no, I mean, like
Counted.
right when they did all the roster cuts, I listed all 53 guys in there, and I did not have him as one of them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's your clarification.
Yeah.
I did. Like I said, we haven't had to deal with the suspended list.
What was his name?
This is Rojo.
Or no, who was
Sorry. It was just from the 469.
Shout out 469. Thank you, man.
469, doing a great job. But yeah, so there's a couple roster cuts and questions along the way, and we'll continue to break it down. I mean, when we get back on the air on Friday, we will have plenty more to talk about.
Absolutely.
There's going to be more movement, more studying to be done. I'm going to do a film study on Noah Igbenogany and what he did in Miami, because I'd be lying to tell you if I watched this.
I'm going to do a pronunciation study and get this down.
Say it.
I'm not going to say
Come
it.
on.
I got to work on it.
There is a YouTube video that it pronounces his name perfectly.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
ready?
just for him,
ready?
too.
Ig. Be. Na. Ga. Ni.
Nah.
Igbenogany.
Iggy.
Iggy.
I'm confident.
Iggy and Izzy on the sides.
I'm confident that I'll get it down just because, to me, the most difficult name I've ever seen was Antetokounmpo.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, but you know what? He's going to be good for a long time. I'm just going to keep saying, and eventually, he's become like a household name. But the first time I saw that on the back of a jersey, I was like, I got no chance at this thing.
What was really difficult for me in my recruiting days was DJ Uiagalelei.
Oh, yeah.
Uiagalelei.
And having to spell that as well. So, that one I had to get down.
And there's like 6 of them.
Yeah,
like
he has a lot of brothers.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of brothers that are really good. So I had to deal with that name for a long time.
Yeah. Albert
Say it again.
Uiagalelei.
Yeah. I thought it was Ui.
Yeah, I did too.
Uiagalelei?
Yeah.
I always said Yui. So
there's a lot of people that say it
Who
all
knows?
different ways, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Alberto Cuebanam, who's now a free agent tight end. Alberto.
Okay. Yo.
Yeah. Jared Sotolamachia.
That's a big throwback. There you go.
How about that?
Yeah.
Let's just start naming names. That's what dudes can do, is sit around a table and just name old athletes.
We had a lot of Polynesians on my
guys
team in
being
college.
dudes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the first one I thought of when we were talking on the break in that Washington thing was Marcus Tuiasosopo.
Oh, that was it. See,
I got some names.
We had a dude named Tui Ali Ali Falaula.
Oh, damn.
But you can pronounce that?
Yeah, that's my brother, though. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
That was my brother.
He said he grew up in the Pacific Northwest.
teammates,
This is what I do.
Yeah, that's what he does. Bill Kilmer, Sonny Jurgensen, Joe Theismann. Are these all Washington quarterbacks?
No.
I think they're Washington
Commanders.
Yeah.
quarterbacks, but we're talking about UW, and then he said Warren Moon at the end. So I think that's right. I think he flipped it. That was one of the texts over here.
That's the go to ball goats.
Oh, absolutely.
At UW, right?
Absolutely.
Warren.
Yes.
I mean, we were walking around
Warren,
Seattle.
Napoleon Kaufman.
Not even a question.
It was the
Steve
guy.
Ettman.
Not Steve, yeah.
Can you get Warren Moon on the show one day?
Probably.
Can you do that for us?
Oh, you guys are friends like that?
There's only 4 of us in history at the school. We stay pretty close knit.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's one of my
Friday
favorite
on
players
Talkin
I've seen.
Cowboys.
That's cool.
All right, let's that's it for us. Let's go.
Dang it, these
into
45
the
minute
week.
shows.
I know it's very quick. Every time we get into it, I feel like we can keep going.
Dang, nabbit.
But that does it for us here today. We'll be back on Friday. It is 10 a.m., right?
As far as I know, yes. Yes, there's nothing going on Friday, so yes, today.
Sweet. 10 a.m. Central Time on Friday. Glad you've been able to join us. For Chris Beam, Isaiah Stanback, John Machota, Nick Harris, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Talkin Cowboys. We'll see you on Friday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?